A ruthless ogre raiding party led by sharpshooter Mawgroth has entered the elven village of Landathar. The warning bell has been rung, and now a small band of Elven Spearmen and Archers led by Captain Aienur gather in the square and prepare to rush out to meet the charging enemy. Will the elven forces prove strong enough to deflect the crushing raid and protect their village? Or will the bloodthirsty ogres crush the defenders and make off with the precious resources of the village? Find out as we play this exciting game of 1 hour ancient and medieval skirmish wargames. Ta-da! Hello gamers, Matthew here from Grey Army Gaming. What you see before you is a setup for a fantastic skirmish game that we are going to have between our raiding ogres on this corner of the battlefield and our defending elven warriors over in this corner of the battlefield. It's going to be a simple scenario. The ogres are going to be charging their way into this village, trying to take over the village and run away with its resources, and the elves are going to try to protect it. Let's go ahead and show you the various troops that we're going to be using in this game and give you a little bit of the information about how we are going to play these characters. Starting out with the elves, we have our leader, who is a leader with 2 points, Captain Aienur, who is an archer on horseback with a self bow that shoots 12 inches and also a spear. He's going to be joined by several archers who have light armor, long bows with a 12-inch range, and also swords. And we have spearmen who have heavy armor and who have spears. And for the ogres, we have our leader, who is also a leader of 2 points, and his name is Mawgroth. He has a crossbow for 18 inches and medium armor. He is joined now by 2 different kinds of ogres. Some of the ogres have swords and medium armor, and the other ogres have clubs and medium armor. In games like Warhammer Fantasy Battles, ogres typically have more wounds and they are a lot stronger. For the sake of simplicity for this game, I'm going to treat the high elves and the ogres as having equivalent strength, equivalent wounds. Today we're playing on a 4-foot by 4-foot battlefield, and as we had already mentioned, the ogres will begin in this corner of the battlefield and the high elves will begin in the square on the other side. Alright, let's go ahead and pull for initiative now. The high elves will be using the blue cards, and they got a jack, and the ogres will be using the red cards. So, the high elves will begin. Here we go, number of activations. Oh, wow, that is awesome. 11 activations. First activation, let's spend 1 point and move our captain on his horse 9 inches. And let's spend 3 more points to move him another 9 inches and get him some cover in the middle of the battlefield. That will be the end for our captain. Now let's go ahead and use our last 7 activation points and move each of these figurines up 6 inches. And there will be their final positions. Time for the ogres now. Let's see how many activations they will get. A total of 9. Not bad. First off, let's take our leader and move him up 6 inches. And then let's spend 3 more points to move him 6 more inches. Alright, from this position behind the rock wall, we want to see if we can take a shot off over here onto that cavalry. Let's see if we have a line of sight. Alright, that was a perfect 6-inch movement because it leaves absolutely none of that horse out of sight, so we are able to fire. Okay, Mawgroth has 2 to hit and Aienur has 2 to evade, so let's go ahead and take our cards here. First one is a 10, second one is a queen. That's going to be hard to beat. Can we beat it? 4, no, and our second card a 2, no, so the hit goes through. And it is a powerful crossbow, so we get 3 cards to wound, a 9, a jack, and a 7. Can we beat a jack? 2 cards to defend, a 6, and a 6. So no, the shot goes through. So an incredible shot from Mawgroth makes it all the way over here and hits Aienur and goes through his armor, meaning that we will have to lay him down as shocked. 4 activations left. Let's go ahead and run up some of our guys. 4 of them, each 6 inches. And there are their final positions. Back to the high elf turn. Now we're going to pull to see how many activation points. An ace. 1 activation point. Let's run up one of our archers. The momentum seems to be with the Ogres. Activation points, also 1. We'll activate this guy, run him up 6 inches. Back to the High Elves already, and we are going to get a total of 6 activations. For the sake of simplicity, we will move each of our guys a total of 6 inches up. And that is how that looks as the line is advancing. Back to the Ogres now for activation points, and a king! That is going to be huge. First off, let's activate this guy right here. We're going to send him up on the left flank. First activation, 6 inches. This will get us on the very edge of this pond. We're going to activate him again, send him 6 more inches. Next, this guy, 6 inches here. Same thing with this guy behind him. 6 inches on our leader. Let's run him around behind this bush. Okay, and we have 6 activations left, so for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to move all 6 of these guys, 1 activation, 1 movement each, 6 inches ahead. And there are their final positions. The pressure is on, High Elves. We need to come back with something powerful here. 10 activations. Nice. All right, time to do some shooting. First High Elf, we're going to activate 6 inches forward. And 3 more points to activate and move 6 more inches. And with that movement, that will put us in range now to fire from here onto this Ogre. And we're looking at now 2 cards to hit and 2 cards to evade. Oof, not good. A 5 is the highest. How's the evade? Yes. A queen? Yes. So the Ogre is able to evade that shot. Seeing his compatriot run off and fire, another Elven Archer is going to do the same thing, make 2 movements, so for 4 points there, and then fire off. That'll be all of our remaining activation points. Hopefully this will be better. We got 2 on a 2, so 7 to start with, and a 5, not great. An ace, ooh, it's looking good, and an ace. Oh, yes, we hit. All right, longbows get 2 cards, and he has 2 cards for his medium armor. So an 8, that's pretty decent, and a queen, not bad, and a 10, and the second card, 5, so it goes through, and it wounds him. So Mawgroth is struck by an elven arrow and falls back, potentially with a fatal wound. Nice work by the Elven Archers. How will the Ogres respond? 5 activations. All right, these guys are getting a bit bottlenecked in here, so let's take the first guy. We're going to run him up 6 inches to start with. Let's spend 2 more activation points and have each of those other 2 guys follow him. Let's go ahead and spend 1 activation point for him and 1 for him and run them 6 inches up. And there is their final positions as they run past their leader who has been downed. Okay, things are really starting to heat up now. The High Elves need a huge pull here. Give us a big number. 3. Oh, it's not great. We'll see what we can do with it. All right, let's spend 1 activation point. We're going to run this Archer behind these Spearmen. Give him a place behind this wall. And from there, he's going to take a shot off onto that guy. Okay, with this, we're looking at a 2 to 2. So starting out with a jack, that is a good number. And a queen. Whoa, we get 2 for the evade. A 4 is not good enough. And a 3, no. Once again, the longbows against the medium armor, 2 to 2. So here we go. A 5, not great. A 6, not very good. 2. Oh, no, we can go through. And a 3. Yes. So the elven shot rings true, finding a hole in the armor and knocking that ogre on his back. Final elf activation. We'll take this archer here on the left. He is actually going to be in range of this guy right here, so we will take off 1 shot on him. Here we are also looking at 2 to 2, so let's go ahead and pull these off. 4, not great. 9, a little bit better. What do we got here? A 6. It beats a 6 and a queen. No. So it is going to be a miss. Back to the ogres now. Let's see what we pull for activations. 4. 4 activations. This ogre right here does not like being shot at. He's going to spend 1 point to go 6 inches and then spend 3 more to go 6 more. That'll bring him into base-to-base contact with those archers. We are now in combat. And here's how that combat is going to look. The ogre is able to get into base-to-base contact with both of the archers. Here we go for our opposed pulls. We have only 1 card here for the ogres, but they charge, so we get 1 additional card. There is a 3, not very good, and a 2, even worse. In the opposition to that, we have a very high evade for these high elf archers. We got a 3. Ooh, an ace. No, can we beat that? Yes, a king will beat that, so the attack misses. High elves, we need a high activation. Here we go. It's a king. 13. Oh, this is amazing. All right, we are going to spend 1 activation point for each of these archers and go ahead and fight some hand-to-hand combat. Hand-to-hand combat without charging. The archers will get 1 card. 4, not very good. We get 2 cards for the evade, a king, yes, and a jack. But we're going to spend another point for our other archer. Once again, 1 card. A 10 is not too bad. Ooh, here is a tie, but we have superheroes don't cry. Spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs. So this actually wins. Here's our second one. A 2. Yes, it goes through. And a power of 2 cards against an armor of 2. So a jack, not bad. And a 7, okay. Can we? Yes, a 7 and an 8. Yes, it goes through. Oh, man. And we'll go ahead and lay this guy down right here onto his back. He has been shocked. And here's a little rules mistake I've been making. I realized that I did not have a counterattack when he attacked last time. I should have had those high elves attacking back. But you know what? In the heat of the moment, I forgot. But it doesn't matter anyway. They have shocked him now. Next activation. Let's spend a point and charge up one of our spearmen 6 inches. And what the heck, let's spend 3 more for 6 more inches and 5 more for our last 6 inches and bring us into combat with the ogre there. So that was quite the powerful charge. Let's have our high elf go ahead and take his attack. All right, here we go. Spearman usually has 2, but he charged in, so he gets 3 cards. Let's see what we get here. A king, that's going to be huge. 10 and a 9. Let's see here. We have 2 defense. A jack is not enough. And our second card is going to be a 4. No, so it goes through. And now we have a 2 to wound and a 2 armor save. So let's go ahead and pull our first card out. 3 is not great. And another 3 of hearts. No, we've got a 9. And the other card is going to be a 2. So the armor protects the ogre. Now, because the high elf connected with the attack, even though it didn't go through because of the armor save, because the high elf connected with the attack, the ogre is unable to have a counterattack. Counterattacks are only possible if you evade the attack to start with. And let's spend our last 2 activation points to run these guys up 6 inches. And it looks like the tide is really starting to turn for the high elves. We are going to draw now for activation points for the ogres. We haven't had any jokers yet, so we are still chugging along. Here we go. Activation points for the ogres, 7. So first activation, we are going to be charging here. Technically, that spearman is in his front arc, so we will charge there. And that is how it looks. This is going to be a pretty brutal battle here. So it is attacking on a 1 and to an evade of 1, but we charge, so we'll get an extra card here. 2 to 1. Let's start out with our first card is a 3, not great. Second card is an ace, even worse. Can we defend against that? A queen, yes. Okay, now the high elf, because he evaded that attack, he gets a counterattack in. Typically, he'd get 2 attacks now, but I don't know if I've been playing this right, but in a counterattack, you have 1 fewer card. So now he'll go down from having 2 to 1. So we have a single card here. Counterattacking with a 9. Does it go through on a 5? Yes! So with the hit now, the high elf has a 2 to wound because of a spear, and we have medium armor, so 2 cards to defend. Here we go. First card is, oh, there's our joker. That's our first joker. The turn ends immediately, and let's go to the end of the round. Okay, at the end of this round now, we have 0 casualties because we haven't checked for any casualties. This is how it works in the first round, so we do not need to take a morale test at this point, but we are going to have to go and check for all of our shocked troops to see if they are removed from play. Let's start with the Ogres, and our leader, Red, is dead. Oh, he is out. The leader is out. That arrow by the High Elf connected, and he is bleeding out on the battlefield. Next up, we have this guy over here from this combat. Red is dead. Is he going to be removed? Oh, he's also out. Oh, man. These elves are connecting. And finally, this ogre who got hit by an elven arrow. Red is dead. Okay, that is a black. He will stand up and come back into the game. For our high elves, we only have 1 troop here that is knocked down, but it's our captain. Red is dead. Hopefully, he will remain in the game. Oh, no, he's gone as well. So there we have it, the end of round 1, and this is bad news for both of our sides. They have lost their leaders. They will not be able to use their leadership. It looks like the High Elves have a slight advantage here at this point, but who knows, it could go any way. Let's start round 2 by pulling cards for initiative. So here we go, red for Ogres once again. We have a 9 to a 5. The Ogres will begin, and let's see how many activation points they are going to get. Joker! Okay, we're going to play with the rules here. The Joker says that we now come to the end of this round. It just began, but this means now we have to take a morale test. Okay, time for the morale test. Now, the way that this is going to work is that we are going to draw a card for each of these, and we have to beat the number of casualties that we have. So the Ogres have 2 casualties, so if we draw an ace or a 2, they lose morale and run off the battlefield. If we draw an ace for the High Elves, they will lose morale and run off the battlefield. And now the thing is, neither team has any motivation, so they don't get any points from that. And we both lost our leaders, so we do not get to draw any extra cards. It is just 1 card. So let's go ahead and see if we can beat a 2 with 1 card. Here we go. It's a king. Okay, no problem. High Elves, if we draw an ace, we are done. Otherwise, we're fine. Oh, no! Oh, no! 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 The High Elves draw an ace. Unbelievable! Holy cow! They lose their footing and take off the battlefield. That is unbelievable. So that is an absolutely crazy turn of events. The High Elves, even though they have taken out a leader and 1 additional guy, they are so shaken by the loss of their leader that they turn foot and take off and leave the battlefield. So all of these guys are going to run away, leaving the Ogres to run into the village and to run off with all of the spoils of war from the village. Unbelievable. What was the chance of that? Very small chance that the High Elves would take off, but they did in the end, leaving their village to the wrath of the Ogres. Well, there you have it, folks, the conclusion of this exciting game of 1 hour Skirmish Wargames. What an unanticipated conclusion to this game. I could not imagine that this is how it would have gone. This game really kept me on my toes all the way up to the last card that was drawn. Amazing. Wow. If you like this kind of content, you want to see me play more games like this in the future using this rules system, then please do give me a thumbs up to this video, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and I will continue to play more 1 hour Skirmish Wargames battles in the future. And most importantly, thank you for joining us here today at Grey Army Gaming for the future of gaming.